As I was leaving the rally yesterday, the coal miners rally, I got an email from the Congressional House Oversight Committee. For those of you that don't know, obviously there's different committees in Congress, and the House Oversight Committee is the committee that former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder testified in front of in 2016, as our reporting over several years has shown. It seems he perjured himself in front of that committee. In January of this year, Jen and I broke a story with The Intercept that kind of showed a little bit, showed the tentacles of what that perjury was, which is basically the former governor told Congress that he did not know about a deadly waterborne bacteria called Legionnaire's disease that killed a lot of people in Flint. The actual number of people killed, I think we just don't know. I don't believe the state's numbers. I think most objective people wouldn't believe 12 people died of this. So, we had reached out in January after our bombshell story for The Intercept, asking the House Oversight Committee, I think perjury is a crime still federally. Are you planning on bringing Snyder back in front of you? You can't use the excuse anymore that the committee is controlled by Republicans because Democrats control the House. So back then in January, they gave us a very lawyered up answer, kind of saying like, we are closely monitoring the Flint criminal investigation led by Michigan. I responded, okay, but why as far as I know, legally, a state criminal investigation has no bearing on federal perjury. So there's nothing stopping you from bringing a former governor back before Congress if there's suspicion that he had perjured himself in front of your committee. The criminal investigation in Michigan does not stop you from doing that. And, like many other things in politics and corporations, they would not respond back on the record. They responded off the record. I won't get into it because it's off the record, but it was a bunch of bullshit. So fast forward, Jen, we obviously broke this big story what is it now? 7 days ago for The Intercept and Detroit Metro Times. In a nutshell, if you're brand new to this, we found that top advisors and officials in Governor Snyder's administration, their phones were erased shortly before the launch of a criminal investigation. Their phones were either completely erased or some of them, their phones weren't completely erased, but their text messages were gone from 2014 all the way through October 2015, which was the actual 18-month period that Flint used the Flint River. Found a whole lot of other things, including Snyder himself refused to hand over key Flint documents to criminal prosecutors, that Snyder's top advisor interfered with the criminal investigation. So I don't know, Jen, kind of like in a sane journalistic world, significant bombshells that had never been reported before. Am I correct?
You are absolutely correct. A ton of bombshells never before reported.
Right. So we'll get into the lack of independent media coverage later. But, I don't know, maybe I'm just a little naive, but I really thought, okay, the other stories we broke a story with Vice in April of last year. It got drowned out because obviously that was the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. So that didn't really go anywhere. The Intercept story we covered in January, or broke in January of this year, unfortunately was published the same day Trump was impeached for a second time, right before Biden was inaugurated. So that really didn't get much traction. But I thought, all right, well, this is getting published in the dead of summer. There's nothing major news-wise going on, like, a mass shooting or, another black man being murdered or, obviously there's a lot of news, but nothing significant like that would take up the whole news cycle other than, CNN and MSNBC covering the January 6th committee. So we broke this, and I don't know, Jen, maybe I'm just still got a little naivete left. I kind of think at some point, if you are exposing a massive government cover-up, the media would kind of lose the very little credibility they have left if they don't at least do a write-up. So then yesterday, they haven't covered it. Aside from a few indie channels, no mainstream media outlet has covered our bombshell. I've sent it to Rachel Maddow's executive producer. I've sent it to Chris Hayes' executive producer. I've sent it to the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Associated Press, the Detroit Free Press, the Detroit News, Flint Journal. I know you have sent it to a lot of places. So yesterday, we actually got a statement back from the House Oversight Committee in response to our bombshell story that actually was a relatively substantive statement. Colin, I'm going to pull up the Detroit Metro Times article on this, if you have that ready to go. Headline, House Oversight Committee investigating new allegations in Flint water crisis cover-up report by the Metro Times. So this is the Detroit Metro Times. Until now, as of now, it's the only Michigan outlet that has covered this. We published the story in The Intercept as well as the Detroit Metro Times. So right off the top, you see the statement from the House Oversight Committee to us. Quote, it would be deeply troubling if any of the officials involved in the poisoning of Flint's children and destroyed evidence of their misconduct, Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, a New York Democrat, said in a statement. She's actually the chairwoman of the House Oversight Committee. So that's her committee. She's the chair. Quote, Governor Snyder obstructed the committee's investigation from the outset and set the tone that his decisions were above accountability. Governor Snyder made the choice to put money over the lives of children in Flint, and he must be held accountable. Additionally, a source tells us, Jordan and Jen, that the committee is now investigating based on our report. So they're investigating, the erased phones, the missing messages, whether Snyder knew about any of this, all those things. So I don't know, Jen. I mean, maybe we just live in the twilight zone. Maybe we're doing this all wrong. But in a week, we not like The Intercept's pretty well known. Detroit Metro Times, pretty reputable. We broke that the former governor of Michigan, who is currently on his way to criminal trial, so currently in the news, he's about to stand or at least go into his pretrial. He was charged with a misdemeanor. We broke his top officials erased their phones. His top officials had no messages for a year and a half on their phones. He himself refused to cooperate with the investigation. His top advisor and self-described fixer was interfering with the investigation. Not only did we break that, but Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib has spoken out about our story. Congressman Ro Khanna has spoken out on our story. Erin Brockovich has called this a massive cover-up. Susan Sarandon spoke out. Mark Ruffalo spoke out. Marianne Williamson spoke out. We're hoping, fingers crossed, Bernie Sanders person got back to me yesterday. We're hoping Bernie speaks out. So you have Congress people speaking out, including a Michigan congresswoman, and now you have the House Oversight Committee issuing a statement condemning potential destruction of evidence. Sources tell us they're now going to investigate it. Whether they will or not is another story. Still, there's no coverage. So, Jen, you're a student of psychology. You studied psychology. Can you explain to me, because we're going to actually show emails from a lot of these reporters and editors. Can you explain to me the silence and the mindset of reporters and editors that would, what else could you call it other than deliberately bury a big government cover-up that killed people?
I may be a student of psychology, but I will never understand. I got into journalism because I wanted to uncover and report truth. And I believe in justice. I will never understand, no matter how long I try to study, the mindset of people. I will never understand how you can be a journalist and know that something is true and know that reporting information could, help bring justice, and you have a responsibility to do so. And yet you sit on it. You don't report it. And I don't get it. No.